Not only that, we've committed and we've purchased a portable XRF gun. So since COVID-19, and one of the delays that has come from COVID-19 is the lack of flights that are flying between places like Namibia and places like Canada or Australia. So our assay turnaround time was taking up to 16 weeks. That, coupled with the fact that assaying wet chemistry for rare earth elements is an extremely costly undertaking, we were always looking at ways to not sample only what needs to be sampled so that we don't overspend money, but also B, try rush samples so that we're not drilling or exploring blind without results. And that led us to acquire a portable XRF in August of this year. And what this portable XRF will allow us to do is conduct a live analysis of samples in the field. And not only that, it will allow us to go back to some of our historical sampling and allow us to build further continuous elemental composition data. And the more data we have, the clever geos that are in our team, I'm not one of them, will definitely open up more areas. And there's a massive cost reduction with the XRF because we are going to be blitzing it with the XRF and we'll get indicative numbers. And with those numbers, we have a high confidence level to spend the significant capital required to get the wet assays completed. And we are then happy to wait 12 to 16 weeks because we have preliminary numbers that we can plan and start working on.
I think just to add a little bit on the XRF to make sure that people understand, I mean, the XRF has a very, very narrow point of which it sends a beam into the material, and based on how that beam comes back, you're able to get a sense of what the mineralization is, and if there is mineralization there that you're looking for, and what the grade is. It doesn't work on every mineral, but it will work in the areas that we're looking. But the issue is that it tells you that one very, very small spot. I believe, Chris, the range is only about 0.5 millimeter, right?
Yeah, it's tiny. I don't know the exact numbers.
So if you move over just a little bit, you're going to get a different number. So this is not actually giving us assay results. What it really is a very, very, very strong indicator. And it allows the team, as Chris says, it allows them to get immediate feedback, not 16-week feedback, and sort of say, are you in the right area or you're not in the right area? And it allows us to make quick calls and judgments. And as we talked about the evolution of how you determine what's going on in your property, it gives us feedback and allows that cycle of the evolution to close itself as a loop much, much quicker so that we can move the project forward an awful lot quicker. So when you think about those 17 zones in the previous slide that have been identified as holding similar pathfinders as what we had in zones 1 through 3, the XRF can be used on site on the day to get immediate feedback, to give us at least an indication, is this something that should have extra follow-up, or is this something that we should move on from? So it's going to be, I think, a very substantial tool in terms of helping us advance this property, you know, in the very near term.
Yes, and I want to draw your attention to two great pictures here. On the top, we've got a picture of our core that we drilled in our last phase 2. I think that hole is actually ED28. And what you can see there in the circle is rare earth bearing monazite crystals. And in essence, that's what we're looking for. And the size of it is unbelievable. And there's a lot of positives that we saw. That's fresh rock. At the bottom here, you can see a visible monazite crystal. It's weathered. Monazite is extremely hardy, so it's got some discoloration. But that monazite crystal is from a grab sample from one of the 17 targets that we've identified. So we've in essence picked up visible mineralization. The XRF is going to allow us to start analyzing those those samples as well as historical samples to understand A, is that monazite rare earth bearing? And B, are there areas where potentially we have missed sampling due to it not being as visible or a lack of indicators at that time? So it's really a game changer in what we're doing. And I know the technical team is extremely excited to have that live data in the field.